Hey everyone, welcome to today's explainer. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the absolute maze that is health insurance, believe me, you are certainly not alone. Today, we're going to demystify health insurance brokers and uncover exactly how they can step up to act as your fiercest advocate. Let's dive right in. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're breaking this down systematically into 4 quick parts. First, the modern insurance broker. Second, we'll be busting the cost myth. Third, a head-to-head of direct versus broker coverage. And finally, a concrete framework on how to vet a broker. All right, Section 1, the modern insurance broker, from sea voyages to strategic consultants. Before we look at where they came from, let's just clearly define what we're talking about here. At its very core, a health insurance broker is a licensed, independent professional. They act as that crucial intermediary between you or your business and those incredibly complex insurance carriers. Think of them as your bridge over some pretty murky waters. It's actually pretty wild, but the concept of an insurance broker goes all the way back to 17th century coffee houses in London. Back then, intermediaries helped merchants secure coverage for super risky sea voyages. Fast forward to the mid-20th century here in the US, employer-sponsored healthcare boomed, and the modern health insurance broker was born to handle all that new complexity. But today, wow, the industry has shifted dramatically. A top-tier broker isn't just dropping off pamphlets anymore. They've evolved into strategic consultants, compliance experts, and literally year-round advocates protecting your bottom line. Moving on to Section 2, busting the cost myth, the price of free help. So let's tackle the elephant in the room with a very fundamental question. Does using a health insurance broker actually cost you extra money? I mean, most of us just assume that having a dedicated expert consultant by your side is going to come with a massive consultant price tag, right? Well, here is the absolute game changer. The answer is a resounding no. Using a broker does not cost you a single dime extra. Because insurance carriers pay brokers via commission, the monthly premiums you pay are exactly the same whether you use a broker or if you just buy directly from the insurance company. Seriously, if you're buying direct, you're literally leaving free professional help on the table. Crazy, right? All right, Section 3, direct versus broker coverage, head-to-head. There is such a stark contrast between going it alone and having an advocate. When you buy direct, you're boxed in, limited to just one carrier's plans. But an independent broker, they evaluate multiple competing carriers to find your absolute best fit. The cost? Like we just said, it's the exact same standard premium rate either way. But think about the heavy lifting. When it comes to verifying your specific doctors or dealing with the absolute nightmare of admin paperwork and claims disputes, buying direct means you are totally on your own. With a broker, they do the verifying, and they step in as your dedicated advocate. Let's break down those core advantages a bit more. A really good broker gives you an unbiased plan comparison. They aren't just pushing one single product. They actually cross-reference your preferred physicians and prescriptions against different plans to make sure you keep your continuity of care. Plus, they translate all that terrible industry jargon, things like coinsurance or HMO referrals, into plain English so you can actually forecast your medical costs accurately. And crucially, they intervene directly with the carrier for billing errors and disputed claims. Which brings us to Section 4, how to vet a broker, red flags and green flags. When you're looking to hire a broker, just remember this. You're essentially interviewing them for a job. You need to know they have the integrity to prioritize your needs way above a quick commission check. So we're going to use the simple 3-step framework. Step 1, check objectivity and access. Step 2, evaluate expertise and support. And Step 3, assess business-specific strategy. Let's kick it off with objectivity. A massive warning sign here is a broker who acts more like a direct sales agent, kind of steering you toward a specific plan just because it pays them a higher bonus. Yikes. The gold standard you want to look for is a professional with a really wide panel of carriers who clearly and transparently explains their commission structure to you right out of the gate. Moving to Step 2, expertise. A terrible broker just passes the buck. The biggest red flag is when they tell you to go look up your own doctors on some clunky website, or worse, they just hand you a 1-800 number when you have a billing dispute. No way. The standard of a truly great broker, they take your specific list of doctors and medications, verify them personally, and actually jump in the ring to negotiate those claims disputes on your behalf. They do the actual work. Finally, Step 3, strategy. Now, this one is especially vital for businesses. A huge red flag is a reactive broker. You know the type, treating open enrollment like a stressful, paper-based scramble just 2 weeks before the deadline. The standard you deserve is a proactive project manager who brings in streamlined digital enrollment platforms and handles all your compliance tracking year-round.
To put this into perspective, let's look at Eric Burns Insurance as our gold standard case study today. He's a licensed insurance agent covering a massive footprint across the Southeast and beyond. We're talking states like Texas, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Virginia, the whole shebang. And notice the transparent CMS-required disclaimer included right up front about the plans he offers. That kind of transparency is exactly what we were just talking about.
If we look a little closer at Eric's approach, it's pretty clear how he passes the objectivity and expertise tests with flying colors. First, he represents all carriers in his service area with very few exceptions. And here's the kicker. Eric is paid roughly the same no matter which carrier you end up choosing. That guarantees his sole focus is finding the absolute best value for you. You literally just send him your list of doctors, and he does the legwork to verify network compatibility. Plus, he stays on as your primary point of contact for claims, renewals, and those unexpected life events. He's working for you, not the insurance company. On a business side of things, Eric's strategy is basically a masterclass in what a modern broker should be. He steps in as a dedicated project manager, rolling out paperless benefits administration so your employees can just enroll digitally. He handles the back-end data, generates clean reports for your payroll deductions, and he proactively quotes options with underwriters before you even get your renewal notice. He even handles incredibly complex compliance documentation, like SPDs, BAAs, and specialized HRA structures, entirely in-house on a timeline that actually works for your company. I want to share this really powerful quote from our source material before we wrap up. Navigating the health insurance market on your own isn't a badge of honor, it is an unnecessary risk. I mean, they hit the nail on the head, right? When you buy direct, you are paying the exact same price for just a tiny fraction of the service. You aren't just buying a policy when you work with a broker. You're essentially hiring a compliance officer, a project manager, and a fierce advocate all rolled into one. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on today. Are you navigating the insurance maze totally alone, or do you have a fierce advocate in your corner? Honestly, your time is way too valuable to spend fighting with customer service bots or trying to decode complex government regulations. Stop stressing over your coverage, demand the value of free professional help, and reach out to a professional partner like Eric today.